set up, which would be part of your retention and your recruitment and retention plan, that would be in the plan, then the necessity for this is going to be, not that great. And it's going to be a very unique situation. But in order to get to that level, there's a lot of work that has to be done. And this is kind of a slice that I'm bringing you. You may not feel comfortable with just taking a look at that one slice. But in light of a number of considerations, you may want to have that in place if and when the time came that we may be losing a key member of the team.
Director Morrison, so this really allows the general manager flexibility. You don't have to bring that back to the board at that point.
Under the
right?
way it's set up, you're setting the criteria, and that's correct. It wouldn't have to come back. I think some of the things that I've heard so far is, do you want to tighten up what eminent means? Do you want to provide additional criteria? Do you want, which could be, well, no, this has to come back to the board, for example. We don't want the general manager making this call. But my only caution is oftentimes we don't have that kind of time.
Call a special meeting and all of the...
And maybe we get a quorum and maybe we don't.
Well, I do understand that the way the policy is written, you've got that the employee must provide evidence, and that in terms of the departure being imminent, and that evidence will be something that the general manager will determine whether or not it's credible evidence. And like you said, if someone's got a second interview, that's pretty credible information.
Generally, that's not a good sign.
The fact that they went for the first interview is not a good sign.
In my opinion, it's day-to-day business, and we're empowering our employees to offer a bump to retain a prominent player in the team. Something that we have not had.
Yeah, and this would be applicable across the board. And I don't want to... Obviously, a maintenance one member of the organization is a valued member of the organization. They're providing value. But trying to backfill a maintenance one versus trying to backfill a general manager, which technically the general manager would not be applicable to this criteria, but as of the extreme, it becomes, it's, well, I think it speaks for itself.
Do you think that by adopting this policy, there's the potential to actually encourage employees to start to look elsewhere? Because if they can provide some credible evidence, then that may merit them a 10% increase.
That's always the possibility. That's always the possibility.
But if they leave, they leave. So.
But I think one of the things that I find incredibly encouraging with this discussion, and frankly I'm pleasantly surprised, is that you're hitting on all the things that need to be done. Like, gee, we probably ought to go out and do another comp plan and take a look at where we're at. The workforce ought to take, wow, that sounds great. Usually that's a hard-fought issue in negotiations. And here, you're saying, well, we recognize that this should be a real rare exception. It shouldn't be this way. So, it's commendable.
Well, the prior general manager brought forth several proposals in regard to employee compensation for various positions for various reasons, and a couple, I think one or two were successful and a few were not. I'm wondering if, since the board hasn't adopted such a policy, if the board would be interested in rather than, I guess I'm asking if the board would be interested in a trial balloon and adopting it with a sunset date that the board could then come back and revisit, and perhaps during that time period, the board could, with the installation of new general manager, undertake some of the effort to evaluate the compensation.
Good point. You could easily amend the resolution to include that kind of a provision. I would just ask that you give like 24 months or something of that nature, not make it 6. Weeks. Right, you're not on the cutting edge on this, that's the
So I think I would like the idea of having a sunset, time on that. You know, give it a try and see if that's what we could do. I mean, definitely not 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, whatever. So that it doesn't go into in perpetuity, and it's a policy that may need to be changed in the future.
Well, yeah, and 24 months would be, I think, reasonable. And plus, if you eventually adopt a recruitment and retention plan, part of that action may be to terminate this policy.
Well, and I would just add too that, we have outstanding employees. Several of them are sitting right here in front of us, and they, I would think, would all be eligible potentially if they were to come forward with a credible evidence, and that potentially has budgetary implications where you're suddenly, realizing, it's a $10,000, $20,000 in unanticipated salary costs in a budget. But having said that, I would love to try it for 2 years. I don't know that I'd want to go 3 or 4 and just let the board try it out and start to work on the compensation side and come back and revisit it before it sunsets if it's needed.
I think that's one of the tasks that the board will ask the new general manager to review, certainly on salary level.
Agreed.
Anyone?
I have a question. So beyond the sunset clause or the, a general recruitment and retention plan, is there any other ways that we would terminate or change this policy? Or would it come back to the board and do it that way?
The other way is that maybe the board, after the liberal execution of the policy by a general manager, you start questioning that and ask that to come back for a discussion. So that there's a third way.
So would it go to budget and admin and then back to the board and do that kind of review brought forward by the general manager?
Yeah. But there would be a trigger. Something could have happened that that you hear about, that you're concerned about, and so you want to drill down. You wouldn't necessarily drill down on the employee. You'd be drilling down on the policy. But, how many of these have you issued? Under what circumstances? You'd be testing those kinds of things. You wouldn't be saying, how much money did you give Joe Blow? Although it is public information, it's salary, especially for manager employees, you can get that information.
Okay.
But I defer to General Counsel on the rest of the public information on salaries.
And so just one last question then. If the board decides to adopt the policy, then the contract that is drawn up with the employee would be run through council and reviewed.
You might want to have at least budget admin take a look at look at it. But yes,
it'll trigger all kinds of response.
But the general counsel would have basically the bookends, the criteria, and the firm is rather good at drafting agreements.
Public comment?
I think it sounds like a very valid recommendation. I just wonder if there could be the same applied to a general manager, maybe in the reverse, so that we don't have what we experienced the last 5 years. Because I don't like coming here and seeing you guys being blasted every time. And I know there's other people in the community that don't like it either. And I just think that there were so many violations. I don't want to go through the past history, but I think if you're going to do a retention policy, I'd like to see a decent general manager retained, and one that's problematic. There needs to be some way to resolve that.
Thank you, Ms. Rundle. Taking it back to the board, it's your pleasure. A motion?
resolution of the Board of Directors of the Cameron Park Community Service District to establish a retention policy for critical job skills. Do I need to read anything else?
The resolution number.
Resolution number.
Oh, resolution number 2017-16.
With the sunset.
No, with the addition of the sunset of 24 months.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. All right. I don't think, report back items. I don't believe we have any report back tonight. Matters, to and from. At this time, the board and staff are provided the opportunity to speak on various issues. Direction by the president may be given, however, no action may be taken unless the board agrees to include the matter on a subsequent agenda. Director Moore, start with you.
So the holiday carnival is this Saturday, correct? The Halloween carnival? Halloween. So, yes, so I invite all the directors to come and, yes, and I volunteer to help Miss Tina and put me to work, and I will also do an announcement if anybody wants to join me on the board. Oh, and judging, right? Tina, judging the costume contest.
Director Wooten? Nothing? Mr. Stanton?
Yes. So in light of some public comments during open forum regarding weed abatement, I believe the general manager has been working on the issue with the county per the direction of the board back at, I think, the September or August board meeting. I can't recall which. And so I was just wondering if there's any information that's new since then.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if your superintendent and fire marshal could just do a quick review on where we're at and what there was a little hiccup on getting the work done. Something happened recently, but everything's moving very smoothly. The county has been very cooperative, so do you want to address that? As far as the ordinance is concerned, coming back to get the mandatory ordinance, as the board knows, and I have reported that that was deferred for a couple of reasons. One, we've had outstanding voluntary compliance, but I wanted the new general manager and the team that they would be working with to bring that forward. But to address the issue that Director Stanton, where are we with the weed abatement on the subject roads?
Yeah, so Chief Smith, General Manager Meadows, and I, we met with the Director of DOT up there at the county offices, and the meeting went really good. They honored all the agreements that they agreed to in the previous time that we addressed this issue, and this is specifically for the Green Valley side, so we have not gotten into the Cameron Park Drive aspect of it yet, but the Green Valley side is moving forward really well. It's going to rely on us timing our crews and the county workers at the same time to kind of work together on this. So you can imagine crews are a little limited right now, but the county said they need about 2 weeks out to get their stuff prepared, and that's the chipper and traffic control and things like that. They've already emailed me a copy of the traffic control plans, and we're just waiting to hear back on them, and when we can get their crew together, and then we can have our crews together at the same time. We estimate to be about a 4-day project.
And how much is the county charging us for this?
The county's charging us $0 for this.
And,
they're donating all of
What?
it.
We owe a debt of thanks to the cooperative spirit that the county has gone into this effort. And as far as Cameron Park is concerned, the reason why everything's in place, but in order to do the work, I would need to come back to get a separate appropriation, because we don't have an appropriation for Cameron Park. We only have it for the Green Valley Road area that is the highest risk.
We don't have it for the corridor?
We do not, I did not seek at the time a,
Yeah, it was just the Green Valley.
yeah, I did, Wasn't sure who I was being pointed
Oh,
at. Yeah, okay. So it's not, I don't want to say it's a function of the board to appropriate the money. That's all. We have the money appropriated for Green Valley. That's ready to go. And so I wanted to make sure that everything is in place. The county signed off on the encroachment permits. Your superintendent had to wade through brush to make sure there weren't any
Drainage issues. I also
drainage
met with Fish
issues
and Wildlife
with
and-
Fish and Game.
Environmental, right?
And so everything's in place. The only thing that we're waiting for is the crews, and they've been a little busy.
Rosberg and coordinating with our crew.
Yeah, Growlersburg's our crew. Cameron Park Drive, as you make that first right towards Rescue, everything on...
That's fine.
Okay,
Where she lives.
okay.
And how will we move forward with Cameron Park Drive and
It's just a matter of bringing it back to the board now that we have all the ducks in a row, getting an appropriation.
do you think we'll go through that first cleanup, if you will? before
Yeah,
we send it
you'll
forward?
use all the appropriation in that first cleanup.
And we are thinking within the next couple weeks?
God willing, the creek don't rise, but that's a function of wildfire.
Timing and crews.
Yeah, right now the ball's in DOT hands, so DOT is gonna give us a call back on their availability, and that's what we're waiting on right now.
Is our Growlersburg crew, does that crew always stay in county? Do we send them out for fires?
We have 9 hand crews, 9 separate crews within the 5 villages of Brownsburg, and only one of the 9 is currently in all the rest of
Oh, gosh. Okay,
Drive from Chuck E. to
yes,
Second Park
of course.
go down the line.
So as soon as possible.
We should have some back next week, so as soon as they get
And Chief Smith and I will
Great
follow
work.
up with DOT as well, yeah.
Fantastic. I'm thrilled.
Thank
So,
you.
I was still, I didn't hear the complete answer of what section of Green Valley you were looking at?
As you come to the edge of Cameron Park Drive and you make a right,
Mark on-
we're gonna clear the section of property that backs up to the mobile home parks right there, all the way up to the apartment complex. So just
Okay.
before La Crescenta Drive.
Okay, okay. And lots of things.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Fantastic, excellent, thrilled. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Everyone
both of you.
involved.
And then the second item I had is that a couple of the board members, including myself, received an email from a gentleman who's got some Eagle Scouts that are looking for worthy projects to do in the CSD. And so I did not forward that yet, but I will forward that to you, the general manager, and see if there's something that we can do to provide them with a project that would benefit the district as well as their efforts to become Eagle Scouts.
Yes. Have we had an Eagle Scout project since the dog park? Yes, we have.
Is it okay?
The
Yeah,
bench-
we're currently
bench
going through
shell.
one right now with a sign over at Cameron Park Lake. So Eagle Scout projects pop up all the time. And typically we ask the Eagle Scout to, donate all of their labor and time and to get as much of the materials donated as possible. We will help out with some of the materials, but we do ask them that they try to go out and get all of, as much as possible donated. But currently we are working with one for a sign over at Cameron Park Lake, next to the pickleball areas and the playground. And the project, so we can't just decide a project and then so we can give them a variety of projects. They take those back to their board of Boy Scouts and they determine what's valid, what's not valid. It has to involve a certain amount of hours, it has to involve a certain amount of thinking. He can't just build a regular sign. There has to be, geometry involved, different angles and things have to line up and be squared. It has to be a project valid for Eagle Scout
Right.
worth, yeah.
And just to clarify, I think we all are gonna have to learn that it's a new name, it's the Scouts.
Is that official right now?
I believe that the national group has already made that change.
Okay.
Scout.
I
Scouts,
apologize.
just not the Boy Scouts.
But it will
apologize.
be an Eagle
It'll still be an
Scout
Eagle
range.
Scout project, I
Yes,
believe.
yes.
And so that's what we
Eagle
take on,
Scouts
is the
are
Eagle Scout
neutral
project.
gender.
Yep.
Thank
Gender
you.
neutral.
Okay.
Anything else, Director Stanton? Thank you. So I want to let the board know that I've retained my LAFCO commissioner seat, and I will stay as the special district alternate member. I love the LAFCO commissioner's job. It's very exciting, very dry, but I love it. And I had the Halloween event, so this Saturday, 1:30 to 4 at the lake. Be there, be square, wear a costume. I wanted to obviously thank CAL FIRE. I know that you're working at a deficit, and Doug has been out on fire. So I know. It's just got to be incredible to witness. Thank you for your service, and stay safe. Everyone's safe so far? It's got to be incredibly devastating to witness. Put yourself, thank you very much. I want to thank the staff. I know it's been difficult. We've had so many changes. We've had board meeting changes, and we've been here late. Operations has been here late, to help manage us, and want to thank our 2 new board members for showing up. really appreciate it. And to Mr. Ramirez for your leadership, and all the staff, of course. And Mr. Epperson, thank you. This is, I think, your second meeting with us, I think. Thank you so much for being here. If there's nothing else, we will adjourn. Oh, go ahead, sir. Oh, yes, the committee assignments. Yes. Do you want to handle that?
I believe the current members of the board have committee assignments. I don't know that they want to switch at this point in time, since you will be formally reconsidering committee assignments in January after you select a new president.
Yes.
That said, we've been somewhat limited in our ability to do committee work because we don't have alternates or permanent commission directors appointed to these committees. So I would suggest that the board consider the 2 new directors and see where they might want to be placed. And as far as placement, now correct me, I've already been corrected once on this. We have a need for a regular appointee to the Parks and Rec because the alternate is Director Morrison.
Correct.
We need a regular appointment to Fire because Fire and an alternate. We don't have an alternate to Fire. We need a regular appointment to the you guys
Parks and Rec.
to the budget and admin and budget committee. I think you're okay on CC&Rs?
No.
No?
We need an
Okay,
assignment.
okay.
Director Moore, I'm the alternate. So I chair CC&Rs, and Director Moore is the alternate, so we need a regular. And I'm the chair of Fire and Safety, and we need a regular and an alternate.
So you might want to start with Parks and Rec. Do the 2 new board members want to take it outside, and the one that comes back in is the winner, or do you have somebody who wants to volunteer?
I'll volunteer for Parks and Rec. You're going to find out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And you get to switch out throughout the years, so. Parks and Rec. and Parks, and I'm the alternate, and Director Mort, I guess, so Director Blackman was the chair. Did Director Moore move up, or is there a decision between the two
I think
members?
we can decide that at the meeting.
Okay. We'll decide that at the meeting. So Director Scobie will take Parks and Rec, and I'm the alternate. Budget and Admin, which of you ladies would like to take that?
I'll do budget and admin.
And I'm the alternate on that. Fire and Safety, we need both positions filled? Yes. Director Wooten
And the alternate would
and
be Director
Moore, Director Moore, and then CCNRs, we need someone to sit on that. Director Wooten. Okay, so Budget and Admin, Stanton, Scobie, Morrison. Fire and Safety, Morrison, Wooten, Moore. Parks and Rec, Moore, Scobie, Morrison. CCNRs, Morrison, Wooten, Moore.
That was painless.
Ta-da! Bingo. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And now, we can adjourn. Thank you so much. Adjourn session at 8:58. Right? 8:58?
48.
Oh, 48. Adjourn at 8:48.
Do we go to the other room?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. We lost everyone else. Oh my gosh, you guys, that, and in that meeting with county, you believe that we'll be able to move forward? That's all I wanna know, with clearing the rest of the corridors. That's what they're talking about.
Yes, yes.
I'll fill you in.
Yeah, I just know you need some history on
You
that.
take your, over here, you take everything out and you leave it empty. You take it. What? Oh, yeah, you put your, you take your copy. You take yours and then you can do what you want. Like Director Stanton, well, it's crazy. Director Stanton takes notes. He puts the date across the top of, the board of directors general meeting and takes notes for each item. And then can toss this and then maybe keep a resolution or, but not necessarily the whole thing. Because we will have at the end of the term, it's already, it's enough to drive you nuts.
So how does this work? These binders stay? Is that what happens? Patty? In that case, thank you for coming. I guess you're gonna be here all the time, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you, sir. We'll get there. We're a little stutter step. But we've got a board. Some. Yeah, I don't know why you're saying goodbye. You say hello, and I say